Hello guys, welcome. Today I'll be taking you through a tutorial on how to sew this ankle-length sweetheart neck bustier dress with side slit. Check out part 1 of this video on my channel, which is on how I drafted this dress. You will have to place the patterns on whatever fabric you choose to work with, add the seam allowances and cut. The patterns I have with me here are for the front upper part of the dress, and as you can see, I added a white cotton heat activated interfacing on the patterns. This is just to add more weight and shape to the fabric. Satin fabric was used as the foundation fabric on which the lace fabric was placed. Pin the front pieces like this, pinning the side pieces to the center pieces, and sew at a 1.5 centimeters seam allowance. So when you're placing your patterns, you have to add a 1.5 centimeters seam allowance, which you will use for sewing. Now attach the two back pieces to the sides of the front piece at a 2 centimeters seam allowance. Normally you have to leave 3 centimeters for allowance, but because I'm economizing the fabric I'm working with, I'm leaving it at 2 centimeters. I'll now hold that down with sewing pins and stitch. The same procedure was done off camera for the lining piece, and as you can see, I used a satin fabric to line the upper part of the dress. So place the main fabric on the lining fabric like this, right sides facing each other. Pin along the neckline, that's the front and the back neckline, and stitch at the 1 centimeter seam allowance, but leaving the armhole area unstitched because that's where we'll be attaching the sleeve. So I'll pin like this and I'll sew, and I'll come and show you guys just how it looks. After stitching, guys, you have to notch along the seam allowance, especially at the front part of the dress, making sure that you don't break any threads. This is done especially at the front neckline so that the sweetheart curve might come out perfectly when you turn the dress inside out. Now fold the seam over to the side having the lining and top stitch at the 2 millimeter seam allowance. This is to stop the lining from peeping out each time the dress is worn. The upper part of the dress is almost done, guys. So now we'll need to attach the sleeves. I drafted this sleeve off camera. If you want to know how I did the sleeves, then let me know in the comment section. I'm pinning the sleeve along the armhole, making sure that the seam on the sleeve is aligned with the side seam. By the time I finished lining the upper part of the dress, guys, I was short of satin fabric, so I used this taffeta fabric to line the lower part of the dress. So here I have with me 3 pieces, 1 for the front part of the lower part of the dress and 2 for the back part of the lower part of the dress. Now I'll place the back patterns on the front patterns, right sides facing each other, and I'll sew along the sides, leaving the center back unstitched. I did that already off camera, and now I'm attaching it to the upper part of the dress, to the lining of the upper part of the dress. So I'll just go ahead and pin like that, and then I'll sew and show you guys how it looks like. I'm done sewing, guys, and this is exactly how it looks like. As you can see, it is clean from the inside of the dress, and this is what we call industrial sewing. Up next, I'm showing you the different fabric pieces for the lower part of the dress. As you can see, the foundation pieces, which is the satin fabric, is underneath the lace fabric. I also went ahead and removed all the sequins along the seam allowances so that the needle should not get broken when I'm sewing. So I have 2 equal pieces for the back and 2 unequal pieces for the front. These are the 2 front pieces. So I'll place them like this, right sides facing each other, and I'll sew right down to where I want the slit to end. After sewing, guys, you see that the slit is open and rough, and my lining is not long enough to sew it so it can be clean. So I'll use this satin bias to sew and turn it inside, and then I'll hem. This, of course, will be done on both sides of the slit. I'm done, guys, and the slit is looking clean. So what is left is to press it down with an iron. I also went ahead and attached the 2 back pieces to the center piece at the sides. Now I'm pinning it to the upper part of the dress at the 2 cm seam allowance. And when I'm done doing that, I'll take it to my sewing machine and sew. Join the lower and the upper part of the dress together, making sure that the side seams are aligned with each other and the darts are aligned with each other. Then make sure that there are no sequins along the seam allowance, so the needle will be protected. After joining the upper part to the lower part, guys, this is exactly how it looks like. So let me open it up and show you guys how it looks like. So you can see the half cut line already, and the inside of the dress is as clean as the outside. I will now sew the lining and the main fabric along the center back seam together, right down to where I want my zipper to end. Then at that point, I'll take off the lining and then sew the main fabric right down to the hem. When I'm done, I'll press open the seams at the center back using a steam iron. This creates a line that I will respect when placing the zipper. Now I'll undo the thread at the center back right up to where I want my zipper to end, and then I'll start placing the zipper. I'll place the zipper first on the main fabric like this, following the line I created by pressing, and I'll attach right down to where the zipper ends. After holding down with pins like this, I'll sew. I'll also place and sew this other side of the zipper to the other side of the center back, still respecting the lines I created with the iron. Now I'll stitch the bottom part of the lining like this. That's the part below the length of the zipper. so I can also attach the zipper to the lining. Fold the lining over the zipper like this, turn it, and then sew, pin and sew. When I'm done, this is how clean it will look. So I did that on both sides of the lining. Guys, we've come to the end of the sewing tutorial, and as you can see, we are done sewing the dress. So what is left now is to overcast all the raw edges inside. Stay blessed and have a nice time.